JLR Investigates. Good morning, everyone. Reporting on the Sebastian Rogers case, I want to give you a few updates because the spokesperson for Seth Rogers spoke out last night, and gloves are off, folks. They are not working together. And we're talking about this case right here. Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers vanished, reported missing by his mom, Katie Lynn Proudfoot, and his stepdad, Christopher Andrew Proudfoot, February 26, 2024. During the early morning hours, Chris Proudfoot says around 6:20 a.m., him and Katie made a call to the Sumner County Sheriff's Office to report this young man missing. It has been 2.5 months, going on to almost 3 months, folks, and still nothing. Back to square one. No leads. But what we've been discussing is a lot of family drama. Yesterday, Seth Rogers' mother, Robin Rogers, she lashed out. She lashed out at Chris and Katie. Then, later on, she kind of backtracked. And I'm going to show you what she said. She said she met with the TBI. Seth's mother met with the TBI. That's what she claims. And then last night, Tony Mathis talks to a TikToker. And he fires off. He fires off. And we're going to play that. They're not working together. It's done. When we're talking about working together, we're talking about Seth's camp, which consists of Tony Mathis, a PI named Chloe, and his inner circle. I don't know who's within his inner circle. I think Robin Rogers, his mother is, maybe some, locals rallying around Seth. And then you have Chris and Katie. And we thought that they were going to work together, but they're not working together. It's done. And it's been confirmed last night by Tony Mathis. He says he tried, but we knew it wasn't going to work. We knew it was a farce, and thank God they're distancing themselves, because I personally don't think they should work together. No way. They each should do their own thing. But Chris has been exposed on how he treats women so poorly and badly. Now, yesterday, we shared this particular post here, and I want to share it with you. Because in this post, it's Robin Rogers, and Robin Rogers says a few things. And she says she is, she's calling out Chris and Katie. But she also says a little bit later to kind of calm things down. She's like, calm things down, more or less. I'm trying to get that post out here right now as we talk. But the whole case, regardless of who's working with who, has been a complete and utter circus. A drama fest. Finger pointing. Mudslinging. And it has gotten pretty much nowhere. But what it has done is exposed who's who. We shared this post yesterday. And on this post, ladies and gentlemen, it is the mother of Seth Rogers. This would be Sebastian's grandmother. And she pretty much called out Chris. Well, she did call out Chris. Shame on Chris Proudfoot. And shame on Cluminati, who he reportedly speaks with daily. How dare you make a mockery of my grandson's disappearance? But we all know how you really feel about Sebastian and how you treated him. CPS records don't lie. And Katie, and she capitalized Katie. And Katie, you know exactly what happened to Sebastian. Your smart mouth husband said so early on in the investigation. The longer this goes on, the worse the outcome for you. We will find him. Now, we shared that. So she's lashing out, shaming Chris Proudfoot. Then, yesterday, she puts out a new post. And this is totally different than what she said before. She puts out a new post. And you could screenshot that. We're going to talk about what she said. But this one's kind of like backtracking a little bit. Kind of. Little bit. But it's weird because after she posted this, Tony Mathis goes on TikTok and talks a bunch of TikTokers in like a panel. It's a panel of 6. So in this post she makes is she says, I had a long discussion with the special agent in charge of the TBI today. Interesting. I just want to clarify a few things and hopefully stop some of this drama. I am so sick to death of all the trauma vultures out there and conspiracy theorists. I want all this to stop and for the focus to be where it should be, finding Sebastian. Number 1, and it's a PowerPoint. Some people question whether somebody written this for her. Number 1, TBI has interviewed both Katie and Chris extensively. Number 2, they've both been polyed and passed. Yes, Katie took more than one poly and passed. Now that's new information. She's claiming that Katie Proudfoot took 2 polygraphs. I thought she only took 1. She took 2. Interesting. Number 3, it does more harm than good to keep delving into everyone's background. I understand the concerns of whether Sebastian might be with his other maternal grandmother, but really, is it all this necessary? Interesting there. Seems like she doesn't want people to dig into people's backgrounds. Why? And we're talking about, she's probably most likely, she might even be talking about her. Who knows? But it seems like she's talking more about Katie's mom. And, you know, Katie's mom has an extensive criminal record. She is on pretty much probation, under supervision for the rest of her life for the egregious acts she's done on children. And we're talking out of the state of Virginia. She is a registered SO. And a lot of people have questions about Katie and her relationship with her mom. And where was her mom, Rosenbaum? Where was she during February 26th and 25th? Or what type of ties does Katie's mom have with these other misfits that are connected to Katie's family, including the husband that woman married, who did egregious acts of murder and all kinds of crazy stuff, and sisters and half-sisters of Katie Proudfoot doing egregious acts on children. Apparently, that Chris Proudfoot doesn't like that. Chris Proudfoot doesn't want that all out there. Chris Proudfoot doesn't want anything about Katie's mom out there, which was triggered Chris Proudfoot to go off on that secret recording that he had with Heather Michele Cohen, one of Seth's PIs, who is apparently no longer on the case. But Chris doesn't want Katie's mom's info out there. Well, I think personally it's important to get her info out there because she's a registered SO and she's in the database, and the database is out there as being a dangerous individual. Why wouldn't you want her information out there? To prevent anyone else from crossing paths with her. Her info should be out there. She has to register and be on some sort of supervision for life, more or less. Bad actors. This is what set Chris Proudfoot off on Chloe. Because Chris Proudfoot says, oh, it's your fault, Chloe. Or basically he told Heather Michele Cohen, it's Chloe's fault. And if he sees her, more or less threatened bodily harm on her and Seth in a recorded conversation. But he don't want this information out there. Just triggering to Chris Proudfoot. This is Katie Proudfoot's mom. Look her up. So Robin says yesterday she doesn't want people going into people's backgrounds. And it's more or less to her. That's what she's asking for. And maybe she's talking about everyone's background. I don't know. She says, please, if you have credible tips, call them into LE, Sumner County Sheriff's Office, or TBI Find. You have no idea how much your speculation has damaged my family. That's what she says. You have no no idea how much your speculation has damaged my family. Yes, I am guilty too. That's what she says. But what am I supposed to think when Katie was the last one with him and all this negative information is being spread around? So she's like, hey, I'm guilty too of this, but let LE handle it. Please let LE handle this. If you want to search, hand out posters, flyers, please do. But the rest of this has to stop. Do not react to negative outbursts. You are just perpetuating the drama we have, the Rogers family. Quite frankly, cannot take it anymore. Thank you for your understanding. Please keep the prayers coming and Sebastian's face and name out there. The truth will eventually come to light. Okay. So she's like, no drama. She's like, no drama. But then last night, the spokesperson for Seth Rogers, Tony Mathis, and I liked what he said last night. Actually, I liked what he said last night. He spoke on a channel called, and I'll show you the name of the channel. It's going to be called 716 Girl National. He speaks on this podcast last night, and he goes off. He goes off. So it's quite contrary to what Seth Rogers' mom said about stopping the drama. Well, you could call this drama. You might just say he's being a realist. I think this should have been done from the beginning, and he calls out Chris Proudfoot. Now, I want you to listen to his words. I want you to listen. It's about a 20-minute conversation, but it's good. We're going to analyze this. We're going to review this. And they have more of it on their own TikTok. So you can go look for it later, whatever, clip it up, whatever like that. But we're going to listen to it here. He says, he calls out Chris Proudfoot.
I was trying to keep the peace. I get it. I hope you'll understand I was doing a job, but there's no protection anymore. If you guys want to go all in on him, you do what you want to do, because there is no partnership anymore. It's over. It's done.
It is so ridiculous to me when you told me that. Well, first of all, you told me, which I knew nothing about, that leaked phone call as well. I don't know if that's something, I'm sure everybody on this call doesn't know, or everybody here doesn't know about that. Do you want to do you feel comfortable talking about that?
So there was a phone call that Chris Proudfoot had with one of our PIs, and that phone call was recorded. It was shared within a few members of our team, and somehow or another it got out, and it was not released by either one of our PIs. Let me be very clear on that. It was not released by me, obviously, because it destroyed everything that I'd been working to build. But what happened is, you guys remember, I'm sure, that Web Sleuth interview where it turned into a train wreck, and Chris was on there, Chloe, the PI, was on there. He was attacking her. She talked about, some documents that she hadn't released. Chris got mad about that. He was on the phone with Heather, our PI, and he was calling Chloe everything but a white woman. And I mean, he was disgusting towards her. He threatened Seth on that phone call. And it's just been too much. I mean, calling and pranking people while there's a child that's missing, and then, acting like just essentially making fun of an autistic child. I mean, it's just, one thing after the next, after the next, after the next. And there's just not, there's not any more, there's no more partnership, and there's not going to be. It's, we're going to do our thing with Seth, and they can do their thing. And if they want to shoot arrows, then that's fine. But we're not going to sit here and take arrows anymore and not shoot them back. We've had it. We're done. Seth's done. I checked with him 3 times today to make sure that this is where he was at, and this is 100% where he's at. And we're not going back. So it's over with that whole partnership routine.
It's over, he says. It's over with the partnership. No more. He's tired of it. He's tired of Chris's behavior. He's tired of how Chris treats women. He's tired of Chris making a mockery out of a autistic person when he called into a YouTube channel as a prank that we discussed. Pretty much all the PowerPoints that Mr. Mathis has said right here is what we've been echoing and saying for the last week. So finally they woke up. Finally, they're like, enough is enough. You don't negotiate with terrorists. You don't work with the enemy. And to me, Chris Proudfoot is the enemy of the people. He's the enemy of the people. He has basically said egregious things towards a female. He's threatened bodily harm on Seth. He has done acts of abuse that he claims is not abuse, but most people think it is on Sebastian. CPS calls, the way he treats people, the incidents that he's going through in New Mexico with his ex-wife who's fleeing from him shows a pattern. It paints a picture. It shows the real Chris Proudfoot and what Sebastian was subjected to in that Proudfoot home, in that Stafford Court home. And for Chris, and then Chris has the audacity to say all of us at the end of the day will be eating humble pie. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? The spotlight's on Chris, and he has shown his true colors. He might put on a farce of Mr. Nice Guy sometimes, but behind the scenes, he's egregious. He's a bully. He threatens people. He's aggravated. He's hostile. He's mean-spirited. Nothing seems nice out of Chris Proudfoot at all. Also, folks, again, recent pictures haven't seen none with Sebastian in him. There's only a few pictures circulating with Chris Proudfoot and Sebastian together, and this was in the early years, most likely when Katie got together with Christopher Andrew Proudfoot. Let's listen on. Let's listen on and see what else he says, because he also talks, a panel asks some questions. He gets into a little bit more specifics, and it's good. I like this. I don't personally think Seth needs a PR person, but the PR person says that he's basically working with Seth. He's working with the family of Caleb Harris. And I guess, in fairness, I guess he comes on board, evaluates the situation, maybe tries to reach out as an olive branch to Chris to say, hey, let's work together, whatever like that. And Chris wasn't having it. Chris was just basically dictating, turning down any proposal that they have, including search dogs and working collectively as a spokesperson. Chris was like, I want none of it. He said, I don't want it. He basically responded to them and said, no, you're not having any dogs come around my property. You're not any dogs coming around my family's home and stuff like that. So there's no cooperation. But we already said it would have been a farce anyway, because Chris telling them where to go, I wouldn't trust Chris with nothing in this case, or Katie, nothing. So why work with the enemy when they're just going to mislead you or misguide you down the wrong path as a smoke and mirrors, as a red herring? Why do that? So it's good. It's finally no more working together. Finally, good.
Literally. So you know the regulars. If you guys, Peachy, I sent you an invite. Nikki, if you want to come up too, of course. I'll send you an invite as well. You guys are more than welcome to come up. I don't know if Tina's in here. Whoever wants to come up, please feel free. Hey, Nikki, are you on vacation, girl?
No, I leave tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Getting ready though.
Okay.
She's another friend of mine.
Yeah, I know. That's why I wanted her to come up.
I love her.
Yes. So Tony, first of all, I just cannot even, I don't even have the words to explain what this fuckery is about. Like, I had to say fuckery because that's what Nikki said, and that's the perfect word for it. Like, I mean, I don't even, like, I don't even have the words.
It's true. No, it's true. When I don't have words, it's fuckery. It's just a big fuckery.
I mean, I just don't even have the word. Are you okay, buddy? Everything okay? Okay. I don't even have the words for it. Do you think now, and I'm just going to ask you point blank, do you think now with everything that's going on that they might have had something to do with it? Does this make you think differently about things?
I think they damn sure know more than what they're letting on to.
I mean,
let's face it, all right? Everybody's got the records. They've seen the records, all that bullshit. I mean, I think we can all agree that I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know that somebody's hands were involved in this, but the environment that kid was living in and Seth's mom said it yesterday, then she said something different today, but she alluded yesterday to the environment that child was living in. So if somebody didn't do something to him, somebody created an environment that made that kid not feel like he was safe. So are you responsible literally, or are you responsible figuratively? But responsible is responsible. And when you don't get out and search for your child, and you say that it's because law enforcement told you not to, that's bullshit. I'm searching for my child, and I'm just going to say it. Everybody's been saying it, and I told you guys when I got pissed that there was no turning back, and I'm not tired. I may look tired. I'm not tired. I'm pissed. And I've had it. I've had it with his bullshit. I've had it with him disrespecting women. I've had it. I'm done. And he's going to see the side of me now that he saw on the phone a week and a half ago when he got slick with me.
I mean, exactly. Nikki said she'd be arrested for sure. I mean, honestly,
let me stop here a minute. Apparently, Chris tried to get slick with this guy, and Tony put him in his place. That's what he's claiming, but he's just tired of his BS. And I apologize for the language. We don't like to use foul language on JLR Investigates. He's basically saying enough is enough. Enough is enough. So it's great to hear this, right? It's great to hear that their position of how they feel about Chris. I don't think it's any turning back at all where they're going to work together. I don't think any reconciliation happens at this point. It's full throttle now. And will Chris and this guy get into a future war of words? I think it's good. I couldn't stand, I wouldn't be able to stomach seeing Seth Rogers and Chris Proudfoot side by side working together. I couldn't stomach that. I would basically, I don't know, it would be like, it's disgusting. It's disgusting.
I missed it. I don't know what.
Yeah, me too. So I just came in. I got a message, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And I came in, and
well, Proudfoot has been fucking up with Tony saying shit about him, and
oh no,
he's done with them. But go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
And Seth, he threatened Seth. He called in and pretended to be some guy, that he wasn't, on a talk show, just cracking jokes and, just acting like a clown. And we've got a laser focused dad that's been looking for his child, and we got a clown over here acting like a clown, being a clown. We're just not going to partner. We're not going to put up a facade anymore that we're partnering with people that don't seem to give a shit. And, we're just, we're not going to do it. We're not going to act like it. We're not going to say, hey, while we're on here, we don't want anybody saying anything bad about the Proudfoots. We're not doing any of that. If y'all want to fire away. We don't give a shit anymore.
I want to just.
So I'll leave it at that in that particular segment. He called him a clown. And that's the exact same thing that we've been saying on JLR Investigate. So it's good that Tony finally woke up to see who the real Chris Proudfoot is. And why would you even want to even work with somebody that's not taking this seriously? Chris is not taking finding Sebastian seriously. All Chris is doing is worrying about what people say about him and Katie on YouTube and on social media accounts and responding to people aggravated. But at the end of the day, Chris has done nothing whatsoever to find this young boy right here, his own child. Well, it's his stepson. But when you take a vow to when he took a vow to his wife, he has to accept Sebastian as part of his own child. He has to have that. That's what you're supposed to do when you're in a relationship with the significant others and when they bring another child into the relationship. He's supposed to embrace and love and nurture and care for Sebastian. And we've seen literally no evidence of that. We haven't seen Chris Proudfoot search for Sebastian. We haven't seen them really do anything. They claim they hand out flyers. They claim, but they haven't called on the community at all to help look for this young man. They claim they're doing things, but no one has seen it. No one has seen the community rallying around Chris and Katie. And we discuss over and over, why does Chris so protect Katie so much? Like on this, like with Katie's just completely quiet and she doesn't reveal anything. And there's just a cloud of suspicion over her, and she had every opportunity to change people's minds. And it only makes her look more and more guilty of what happened to this young man right here. So what happens now moving forward? Well, we'll see if Seth continues to, and Seth team will, again, I said in this case, it's like sides. It's like tribal. It's like tribal, and it should be tribal at this point. You know, you're either got to pick a side here, but you might not even have, I'm just saying, they have their side. You might not have to pick a side, because personally, I'm Team Sebastian. I'm not Team Seth. I'm not Team Chris. I'm Team Sebastian. But seeing that they would possibly work together, to me, was just fake. It was pretentiousness. It was a fraud. It was a fraud, more or less. If those guys would have worked together, it would have been a fraud on the American people. I'm Team Sebastian. So, you know, it is tribal. Like I said, there's people that pick sides, but you don't have to pick sides. You can just be in the middle and you just want Sebastian and just observe what they're all doing. But we all want answers. And the public has been so invested in this case, and they care so much that they want this boy found. So what is Seth and his Team Seth going to do? What can they do? Apparently, Seth was told to go back to work as a correctional officer. I don't know if he's going to do searches. I don't know if they'll just keep doing media interviews to keep Sebastian's name out there. I don't know if they're actually going to say things anymore. And maybe they're not even going to say things about Chris or Katie anymore and just focus, hey, Sebastian. But I can tell you that in our Facebook group, we got a pretty big Facebook group, we talk about it all. We talk about what's being said, and we go beyond just what's put out there on the surface. So, you know, guys should go check that out. We are Sebastian's Army, and we will continue to bring awareness to this young man. Now, Chris Proudfoot, what does he do at this point? I actually screenshotted this. It looks like them both staring at each other, and it's like Team Seth versus Team Chris. Are you guys on a certain side in here? Do you guys take a side or a position in this case? As far as are you gravitating towards one side? Because there is some people out there that support the Proudfoots and feel like they were unfairly targeted, or feel there's not a shred of evidence to dictate that Christopher Proudfoot and Katie did anything with this case. And people feel like they're innocent, and people feel like there has to be a villain out there, and somebody has to, take the blame for all this. So they blame Chris and Katie. There's people out there that believe that. I think it's a small minority, but there is people out there that feel that Chris and Katie, they're being unfairly targeted by the internet lynch mob. What's your thoughts on that? What is Chris and Katie going to do if they want to win back public perception and win back the internet? Remember Chris said in that recorded phone call, by the way, we didn't even talk about that. Chris feels like when he says things that are outrageous, he's like, we broke the internet. Like he's worried about breaking the internet and how the internet would. So Chris is worried about his image online. That's why he responds to people, anyone that's very critical about him. And he seems to align himself with people that are like Team Chris. And he'll kind of like hang out. Similar to Don and Candace Wells. The Proudfoots' behaviors are parallel to Don and Candace Wells. I think Don and Candace Wells are much worse. But Chris seems like he's emulating the style of Don and Candace Wells. We'll keep you informed, though, of what's going on and on the ladies, but I wanted to give you, and every day we talk about Sebastian, we tell you what's going on. So, to recap, no working together anymore. The PR for Seth is outraged. By the way, Chris Proudfoot has been reported to law enforcement for those threats. People are posting, and I just want to show you this. I want to show you this because this is interesting. I put this tweet out, and I said, people are claiming Chris Proudfoot was reported to police after a leaked phone call surfaced as Chris Proudfoot making threats towards Seth Rogers and PI Chloe. Doesn't appear Seth's PIs are reporting Chris. What's going on here? And people are saying they have emailed the sheriff and shared with the sheriff. And here's another one. Hello, Deputy Craddock. Wanted to report Chris Proudfoot making threats to Seth and his PI Chloe in a phone call. Katie was next to Chris. Chris also threatened Seth. Recording this played on a YouTube channel called The Lab. Oh, that's Josh with The Lab. That's right. He played it. Have a nice day. And people are apparently, now what's going to come out of that? I don't know if Chris can be arrested, if a third party can actually make a complaint. But I believe they were saying in the group that the authorities are aware of Chris Proudfoot's threatening phone call. Someone responded to Seth's old PI, Heather Michele Cohen, Justice Warriors investigation. I'm curious, did anyone with your team send this recording over to Sumner County or the TBI? No, it doesn't pertain to Sebastian's whereabouts. However, it does put into motion for law enforcement to hear just how nasty and brutal Chris can be, as we all can be at times, but he took it a little too far to say the least. Can you confirm if his threats were sent to law enforcement? Also, it confirms Katie in the background not even asking him not to threaten others. And the OPI said, it was sent to Chloe and my team to decide whether it should be reported. The decision, as I understood it, was not to report it. So Seth's PIs, or Chloe or his former PI, they didn't hand it over to law enforcement. However, there's people, just regular citizens, that claim they shared that video over to law enforcement. So it appears law enforcement are aware. Can Chris get arrested for those threats? Only probably if Seth or Chloe actually filed a police report. I don't construe it as threats, but it's definitely worth noting. And if Chris continues that type of behavior and stuff like that, it could build a paper trail on Chris, and Chris could be charged down the line if he keeps lashing out at people or making, like one thing in that recorded phone call, he said he was going to basically slap Chloe. But then right after that, he said with a cease and desist. So people are like, well, you're threatening somebody with a cease and desist is not actually threatening bodily harm. But, that's up for debate or whatever like that. Only police can determine if that under Tennessee code, if that falls under any type of threats, terroristic threats or harassment or anything like that. But he's been reported. So what happens with Chris Proudfoot with that? I don't know. Will he tone it down? I also suspect that Chris and Katie are bottled down inside that RV in that trailer, right? And the walls, the house of cards are falling in on them, right? And it's just, they're just venting, and they know there's so much pressure all over them, and they're acting out, and they're acting irrational now. It's set. Reality is kicking in that this is not going away for Chris and Katie Proudfoot. And their lives are pretty much ruined. And I don't think there's any way to get that back. And now all they're just doing is I don't know. They're just acting irrational, and they're trapped. They don't know what to do. They cannot really go back to their home and live peacefully because all their neighbors feel like they're involved, and the whole world's pointing at them. And, Sebastian's out there all the time, and Chris is infuriated with Seth out there, keeping Sebastian's name out there, and all of us. So I don't think it's going to go well for Chris Proudfoot, and I definitely don't think this is going to go away at all. I am JLR Investigates. That's this particular segment. Let me know what you think in the comments. Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers still missing, 15 years old. If you have any credible information about this young man, contact the Sumner County's Sheriff's Office or TBI at 1-800-TBI-FIND. We are Sebastian's Army. When more information comes out about this, usually we come on regularly to talk about this. Anything breaks, you'll hear it here on JLR Investigates. Until next time, everyone, keep Sebastian's name out there. We will talk soon. Woo, it's hot in my car. It's hot in Florida. Hey, did you guys see the lights last night? I saw a little bit of pinkish in the sky here in Florida. The northern lights, right? They said up in Europe, northern Europe, they said there was some amazing light display last night. They actually said that the internet would go down and power grids would go down and self-service would go down. I still got it. We're still here. We're still here. Some big solar flare. The sun, a big part of the sun went and sent out these beams of light that reached all the way to the earth. It was quite a scene or whatever like that. Reminds me of the Marfa lights. I don't know if you guys are. I was out in Texas a month ago. I didn't really get to see Marfa lights in Marfa, but they were saying it's similar. The lights go all in the different colors and everything like that. So surreal. I mean, it's very, I'm going to say trippy type of, feel. But if that happened in your way, you got a treat last night. Will it happen tonight? They said it might happen again tonight. So look up in your sky. If you live in the Northeast, you might see some amazing things in the sky tonight. All right, we'll talk soon. JLR Investigates. Have a good day, everyone. Please be safe.